it's actually my favorite. My favorite for that section, because I think it's just so important that we have the right posture to hear God. Hey guys, it's me, Sonja, a SonjaW coaching again, and I got a treat for you. If you've been watching, then you already know what's coming up. You already know what's about to go down. And if you were not, let me recap real quick. Last week, I told you guys about a project that I have been working on for a really long time, and I am beyond excited. So if you're coming back from last week or last video, check it out. It'll be in the links or the cards, whatever they call them. It's gonna be up here somewhere, or I don't know where it is, but it's gonna be there, so you can go back and check it out. Last week I introduced you guys to my devotional. I wrote a devotional. Can you believe it? I can't even believe it. But I wrote this devotional really out of my own need and also wanting to help my overwhelmed and multi-passionate women, because that's what I'm passionate about. The whole point to intentional living with SonjaW coaching and the coaching that I do is to help women who have a ton of things happening learn how to live intentionally by acknowledging, living, executing, and winning at their dreams. And one of the things that I learned through this was, and through my study, and if you know me, you know I love God, so it's all about the Bible. Sorry. Well, not sorry, actually, but this actually was born out of my study and out of noticing that God talks a lot about trees. And he talks about trees in such a manner that kind of brings you to remembrance of man, and trees as an example of man, and how us being planted by his presence, by his promises, and in his purposes will help us to flourish and to grow. So this devotional is all about those three things, right? So I talked about it last week, but I broke down the three sections of this 30-day devotional that will be coming up soon. And those three sections are planted in his presence, planted in his promises, and planted in his purpose. Oh, forgot to talk about the title. The title is called Planted, a 30-day journey for a 30-day devotional journey. That's what it's called for my overwhelmed, multi-passionate women. As you can tell, I'm super excited. So let me calm down. But as I promised, I said that leading up to the publication of this journal, of this devotional, that I will give you favorites from each section of the devotional. And this is the first week of me doing that. So I am doing section 1, planted in his presence, and it is going to be from day 5 of the devotional, okay? So again, I'm super excited. I am going to be dropping it quite soon. And if you're interested in getting all of the information about the devotional, when it's dropping, where you can get it, then subscribe to my email list. The link will be in the comment section or in the description of the video, okay? So let me get into it. Like I said, I'm going to read day 5 of my 30-day devotional, and it's in the first section, planted in his presence. Let's get to it. It's gonna be over here. So it's actually my favorite, my favorite for that section, because I think it's just so important that we have the right posture to hear God. And let me just read it. It's called Posture to Hear. So let me read it. Habakkuk 2:1-2. I will take my stand at my watchpost and station myself on the tower and look to see what he will say to me and what I will answer concerning my complaint. And the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets so he may run who reads it. Just that verse alone just gets me. And there's so much good stuff in there, right? Like we're talking about We wanting to hear from God. We have to stand up high. We have to focus in and make sure that we are in a place of no distraction so that we can hear from him. And it's so cool that it says to look to see what he may say. We have to look to see what he may say. Like it's just so much good stuff. And then the final part of that, it says, so he may run who reads it. So we're writing our vision down so that the person who reads it can actually run and go forth with it. Now, I'm not even talking about that. That's a whole nother thing, right? But let me go ahead and actually read the devotional. So I currently am pretty much deaf in my left ear. Yeah, I actually am. That's a whole thing. When I was a child, somehow figured out can't really hear out my left ear. And I say currently because God is a miracle worker, and I still believe that I can be healed of that. And I pray for that. So if you're a praying person, go ahead and pray for my healing, okay? Because when 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, okay, sorry, let me keep reading. I say currently because God is a miracle worker, and I'm looking forward to the day that's different. But because of my current condition, I really have to posture myself in a certain way to truly hear. I sometimes read lips. Can I tell you how horrible and hard it has been during this pandemic with all the masks? Anyway, I sometimes read lips or turn my body to the right to hear a little bit more clearly. It can be awkward sometimes, but it is what I have to do to hear. You know, there's a certain posture to hear God clearly too. I caught that in those verses above. There were 3 things Habakkuk did that I think we can use to posture and hear what God is saying a little bit clearer. Habakkuk stood at his watchpost. I had to look this up and figure out what it meant. A watchpost is like a modern day security guard, is what a modern day security guard would do. They would sit, stand, or walk at their post and patiently wait for something out of the ordinary. Those folks have to be vigilant and focused on the out of place things. We should be the same, looking for any disturbance in the landscape of our lives. Habakkuk stationed himself on the tower. He got up high. Sometimes we have to get up higher than where we are to see more clearly. Sometimes we have to separate ourselves from the usual things of life to truly hear God. We have to get into his presence. And then finally, Habakkuk watched to see what God, would say. Wait a minute. Watch to see what God, would say? How do you watch for what someone is saying? Well, God has already said a whole lot, and it's in his word. Habakkuk knew that. Habakkuk knew his word. In the chapter before this, Habakkuk was complaining about what he thought was an injustice because he knew what God said about the people of God, and the things didn't seem to totally be in line with what he knew God said. So Habakkuk chapter 2 was the response to that. See how you see something God said? You read his word. What promises are you watching in your life today? Write them down. So that's what that devotional is. And there's just so much good stuff in there. Like I try to keep all of the devotionals short and sweet, but like I could go on and on about all of the different aspects of that. And just going and thinking about it, the last one I think is the key to it all. Watch to see what he would say. The only way that we can watch to see what he would say is that we spend time in his word, that we spend time in his presence and finding and learning about who he is and about all the different things that he has for us. When we watch to see what he said, then we're able to walk confidently in our next step because we know what God already said. We know that when we're in his presence and we shift our posture so that we can hear more clearly, then we're going to hear God and we're going to hear the good things that he has for us. We're going to hear about the promises that he has for us. We're going to be able to hear about when he tells us this is the way, walk ye in it. We're going to be able to hear when he says that that he has good and perfect promises for us. When we are able to posture ourselves to hear him, then we're able to walk confidently in where we're supposed to go. So today, I want you to go ahead and write down those promises below. I would love to partner with you in prayer and thinking about the promises that you have been watching to see. All right, so go ahead and write them down below. I will respond because I really want to partner with you. And if this was really good for you, if you're curious about more and you want to hear about the next section that we're going to talk about next week, then make sure that you subscribe so you get those notifications as soon as possible. So I'm gonna see y'all next week.